Staff Sergeant Matthew Knoll, Air Force.
Staff Sergeant Edward Scott Smith, Air Force.
Lieutenant Colonel Blanca, Air Force.
What's it?
Name?
Bob Carlson, Navy.
Name, rank, serial number. Name, rank, serial number.
No, it's okay.
Electrician mate, second class.
I was a law enforcement specialist, canine handler for 12 years. In my final year, I was administration.
I did weather.
Engineering and installations.
What did you do in the Navy?
What?
What did you do in the Navy?
Electrician.
That's right, you said that.
So I don't know if you guys want to start off with like kind of any interesting stories you want to share, anything about yourselves, kind of like go down the row, and then after that the kids have some questions.
Sure.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'm giving part of a speech later, so I don't want to tip my entire hand, but
Sure.
I mean, I can tell you that, I'm sure you fellows would agree that the military will, put you in some places to have some experience and memories that you would never get otherwise. And some of them are cool, some of them aren't, but it's just, that's a part of life. But the military definitely teaches you how to navigate through those situations a lot better, so then when life throws life at you, you're ready and prepared. So that's one of the biggest things that I was able to take away from the military, and I'm glad that I, have that ability to carry that with me for the rest of my life. So.
Well, I was fortunate to look at the military from two different perspectives. My dad was a 26-year Air Force veteran, so I grew up in the military, and actually I served half his time for 13 years. And what Staff Sergeant Knoll says is true. In the military, you have a mission to do, a personal mission, and the mission of wherever unit you're assigned to, and obstacles do come up. But the military teaches you how to work through them to get the mission completed and not to use them as an excuse not to complete the mission.
Right, so yeah, to echo what they said, great opportunities I had in the military, and educational benefits are outstanding. Does everybody know what the educational, I'm not a recruiter, but the educational benefits, if you join the Massachusetts Air or Army National Guard, free tuition. Does everybody know about that? Free tuition to any Massachusetts State College, Lowell, UMass, whatever. Some great educational benefits, whether you go to the Air Guard or reserves or active duty. Right? What do you want to say? What did you do in the Navy?
I was an electrician in the Navy on an LST, which stands for Landing Ship Tanks, and I was in on the occupation of the Philippines and the invasion of Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and then the occupation of Japan. Then when the war ended, and that's about it.
That's a lot.
Yes, sir.
No big deal.
And also, you get a chance to be a part of history. My big campaign when I was in was, I don't know if anybody you hear about the bombing of Libya back in 1986.
Way before you guys were born.
Probably. Well, I was at the Air Force Base that launched the attack. So, and I remember it, even though it's been, 32 years, I can remember it as clear as a bell to this day.
I do want to piggyback off of what you were saying with the educational benefits. So for me, I kind of fell and stumbled into the military. I came from a long line of service members, but my brother, he graduated from here a couple of years ago, and he basically, what I did was I kind of explained to him the pitfalls to avoid and how to go about it. My brother joined the Army National Guard when he was 17 as a senior. He's in his junior year at UMass Amherst, which is where I wish I had gone if I had the right mind to go to college and get that full experience. So he goes to UMass Amherst for free, gets paid to go. Obviously there's a lot of requirements that come with that, but there is a good way of going about it, and I wish, he's basically taking the best plays out of the book that I gave him and using it, and now seeing him doing it, it's like, wow, you know what I mean? He's 20 years old, he's only got 3 years left on his enlistment. Like, he's going to be 23, he's going to be set for the rest of his life, you know what I mean? So there are really good educational benefits and opportunities. And again, for me, having deployed, I used up all my original benefits, but I'm a teacher and I need to go back to school to get my master's. Doing the deployment got me another year's worth of benefits, so now instead of me having to worry about paying for school, it's covered again. So there are definitely some benefits to it, you know what I mean? It's costing, it's give and take. They will ask a lot of you, but there's a lot that you can get from them at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. Because being a law enforcement specialist, I went back to school well after I was out, and my experience as a law enforcement specialist in the legal realm helped me get a certificate in paralegal studies from Middlesex Community College. So, and I was able to draw on not just my military experience, but because I like to keep up with what's going on in the world, and you learn things. And I remember when I was in K-9 school, we had to certify, and our instructing NCO, one of the certifying officials, after my team certified, he pulled us in the classroom, and he said, out of all the certifications I've done, I have never, ever, ever seen a certification like I went through with your class. You folks not only learned how to train the dogs, but you applied what you learned, and that's very, very important. People learn lessons, but they don't apply what they learn. Just like here in school, you're learning things to apply to help you in life. It's a tool. So.
Do you guys want to ask some of your questions that you have? You can just raise your hands and then whoever wants to answer can answer whatever.
Sure.
If you were, and if you can tell us, what places were you deployed and how long were you there?
Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, and I was born in Berlin. My dad was stationed over there, so I was born in Germany as well.
I did 2 tours in Saudi Arabia. It was on the heels of Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was at Dahran Air Base from March of 92 to July, and then the next year I was at Taif Air Base, which was a Saudi Arabian base, from March of 93 to July of 93.
I was deployed to Bosnia at the end of the Bosnian War, and then I was in Iraq back in 2003 for the Iraq War. Bob, where were some of the places you've been?
Well, as I was 15 years old when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, so 2 years later, I was 17, joined the Navy, and they sent me to electrician school, came out of petty officer, 3rd class, and I got aboard an LST, which is a landing ship tank, and went like to Hawaii and the Philippines and Okinawa and Iwo Jima and then the occupation of Japan after the war ended, and which I was glad. We were all set for the invasion of Japan when they dropped the bomb and everything. The war came to an end then, which was good on my part. It would have meant a lot of deaths if that hadn't happened at the time it did. So, very good.
Okay.
What are your favorite parts about being in the military?
Well, for me, it was, I hate to sound like a recruiting commercial, but one thing I liked about it was the teamwork, the camaraderie, the structure, the discipline, and that you constantly have a goal that you're working towards, whether it's to complete the mission, to get promoted, and to just being a significant part of something bigger than yourself.
The people, you're gonna meet some funny people. You're gonna have some funny experiences you wouldn't have otherwise. I mean, it's like the real world was like, what, 9 people from all over the world, take 50, 60, 100, put them in a room. You're gonna make some friendships that are gonna last forever, and it's just, you can't put a price on that.
If I can interject, another important thing is that, like, I went in the early 80s, and a guaranteed job was the thing, so you basically get the, provided you qualify for it through your ASRHS scores, you get the, there's so many things to do, and so many things to explore, and then if you pick a career field, and it just happens not to be yours, there is the option to retrain into a different career field.
I'd say the educational benefits and the opportunity to travel and go to some really great locations. Got to see some really good. I lived in Germany for 5 years. It was a fantastic opportunity living in Europe. Some of the other places that I got to travel to, and then there's the great people you meet with. You work with a lot of great people, and you're focused on that mission, and you learn really quickly that it's all about the missions first. You're second, and sometimes your family's second, and mission comes first, and you learn that pretty quickly. Best thing about being in the Navy, Bob?
Well, you learn how to get along with people.
That's either that or learn how to swim quick.
No, it was a very interesting experience, and going to school and teaching you how to be a certain service, like an electrician and so forth, and which I didn't take up after I got out, which I probably should have. But it was a good experience. Learning experience, yes.
Can I ask, is that, anybody interested, thinking about the military? Who's thinking about the military? What grade were you looking at?
These are freshmen.
Oh, okay, good, we got some time, so who's, all right, somebody's gotta be thinking about it, who's thinking about it? Great, what would you like to do? What are you thinking about?
I don't know, like well, one of my friends builds bombs for the Air Force. So that's something I feel like I would like to do.
Munitions.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Anybody else?
It's like Wesley over here.
Okay, good, what would you like to do?
Well, I do plan on probably like going to college first and probably becoming an officer in the
Good.
Corps.
So ROTC would be your options, right? Right.
Yeah. I'm a senior this year, so.
Oh, good. So you're looking at colleges with ROTC programs?
Yeah, actually I went to mine down south in Searcy, Arkansas, Harding University.
Good, you have ROTC program? Marine ROTC?
Uh-huh.
Great,
I plan on signing up for that. So.
great, fantastic, great.
And there are other commissioning programs, like you have the Annapolis Naval Academy for Naval Marine officers, you've got the Air Force Academy, and you have West Point as well. But another program that some officers go through is called OTS, that's Officer Training School. A lot of them have their degrees already, and then they apply for OTS and they get it and become an officer in, what, 90 days? Provided you successfully complete the program.
Has anybody talked to any recruiters? There is, Army, I'm sure?
My sister talked to
Oh.
a recruiter and she thought about going.
Oh, good. Did you talk to an Army recruiter?
Yeah.
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 Do you know this though? Like I've talked to many a recruiter, and like I got lucky. My recruiter was actually like a genuinely. He's like, look, you don't want the job. There's 100 people behind you waiting for it. So whatever, you know what I mean. But you hold all the cards. You can decide whatever you want, whatever branch you want, whatever job you want. They'll say, oh, you can't have. It's like a car salesman, but you hold the cards. You know what I mean. You can walk away. So that's the one thing. I think a lot of people get scared off or frightened because some people are so. They put the full court press, oh, you gotta go in, they're calling you and blowing up your phone, you're like, all right, dude, I'm cool with that. So, you know what I mean, just know that when the time comes to find a recruiter, look for someone who's actually talking to you like a genuine human being, because if they're talking to you like you're a statistic, that's exactly what you are to them. You're just a number, so that's not what it's about, you know what I mean? Find your right fit.
And that's true to life, because I looked at all 4 branches and I decided on the Navy at first. I went down and I took my ASVAB. Well, long story short, things didn't work out. So I decided to go into the Air Force. They got my scores and, you know, they say, yeah, your scores came back. I wanted to be a cop at the time. That was the only thing I had on my mind. And my recruiter says, well, let me tell you what else you qualify for. No, I want to be a cop. And do I qualify for that? Yep, I'll be down and sign the papers. So what Sergeant O's saying is true. It's, you know, up to you. Because I had a law enforcement specialist at Hanscom Air Force Base told me, he says, go in there and tell them, because what happens is that you apply for a job, they go through the computer to see if there are any seats available. And they try to talk, you know, they may try to talk you into something else, but he told me just hang tough and just say, well, give me a call when a slot comes open.
Go ahead, I see you had your hand up.
Okay, so I just realized this. My dad's also in the Air Force, and on that uniform, he has like 2 more stripes like on his arm, and same with like the Blues uniform. Like he has like I think maybe like less like I think flags. What do those mean?
Check what?
He'd probably be if he had 2 more, he'd be a master sergeant. Basically what they say is it's when you get the roof over the house, so once you start getting that, and then you want to add the layers, that's, so, yeah, and it's, as far as like ribbons and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
mean, that's-
these are all basically awards. Some of them are awarded based on time and service, and some of the awards you get based on achievement, kind of like getting good grades.
Good question.
What's the longest amount of time you guys have been like away from home?
9 months.
Well, for me, it's a little difficult because most of my enlistment, I was single. So, but home is also, the United States, and, I've had a lot of overseas locations. My first duty assignment was Clark Air Base in the Philippines. I was gone for 18 months. Then I did a consecutive overseas tour in England for 2 years. And my nieces and nephews were born and they were growing up and I was missing them, so I asked for a stateside assignment. And I was at Plattsburgh Air Force Base for 3 years. Then I put in to go to Korea. I was there for a year, Virginia, and then from Virginia is when I went to Saudi Arabia. So you kind of like, hi, goodbye, so.
Yeah, the longest I've been separated from my family was 6 months, and that is one of the realities of being in the military. We call those deployments, where you're going off to some place where your family can't come with you. The Air Force is pretty good about keeping those deployments generally to 6 months. The Army tends to do longer deployments. They generally tend to do a year because their mission is different from the Air Force. And the Navy is a little different. They don't actually do deployment. They're doing more of the ship rotations, and I believe it's you're gone for 6 months, and then you're back for 6 months, and you're gone again for another 6 months. So if Navy is something where you're going to definitely spend more time apart, separated from your family. But it's something you learn really to get used to. And the great thing about the military, there's a lot of programs that support the family. The military realized that we can't be effective airmen, sailors, soldiers, and Marines deployed if we got worried about our family back home. So there's a lot of family services for kids and for your spouses and all, and they do a great job of taking care of the spouses because they don't want us, when we're deployed, worrying about our families that stays behind. What's the longest you were away from your family, Bob?
About 14 months, I guess. Yeah.
And it was during the war, obviously.
Yeah, but when you signed up during World War II, you know what you signed up for? You know what the duration? It was the duration plus 6. 6 months. If it lasted for 10 years, you were in for 10 years, not 6 months.
And also, even though you're in a particular branch, I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base. I put in for retrain. I had to go to Keys Air Force Base, Mississippi for tech school and then off to California. But even though I was Air Force, you were welcome at any military base, and that came in handy when I was traveling. I needed to stay overnight, to break up my trip. So, you can go into the BX, you can get billeting and all that stuff, so you're not just limited to you're not just limited to the bases of your particular branch of service. So even though it's 5 different ones, collectively, we're just one big happy military family.
Does everybody know what military facilities we have in New England? Everybody knows about Devon's, right?
Yeah.
Right, so Devon's has Army Reserve. I believe they have an Army Guard down there too. So again, they're strictly National Guard and reserves too. I think they have some reserves too.
Marines, I know they used to have their.
The Marines, yeah,
Yep.
a small detachment there too. So, all reservists. Hanscom has active duties. Active duties are full-time. They're more of an R&D facility, an acquisition facility, doing a lot of contracts and stuff like that. Research and development. And then outside of this area here, we have Otis Air National Guard base down in the Cape. They're pretty much strictly nowadays an intelligence unit. They don't have any aircraft anymore. We have another Air Guard unit out in western Massachusetts, out at Barnes in Westfield. That's where I used to be stationed at. We have F-15s out there. And then we have an Air Force Reserve base, which is at Westover. They have the big C-5s. And then Connecticut's got an Air Guard base. Rhode Island's got an Air Guard base. Rhode Island's got the Navy base. New Hampshire's got an Air Guard base at Pease. Air Guard base in Burlington, Vermont, and an Air Guard base up in Maine. I think it's, I forget, where it is in Maine.
It's at Bangor.
Yeah, Bangor.
Yeah.
International Airport.
The maniacs.
Right.
I think one thing too, that, look, a lot of people probably get confused, so if you didn't know, let me just explain it real quick. You've got basically like 2 different ways you can go about the military. You can either go active duty, you sign up, you get sent to a base, that is where you live for the next 4 years, whatever the case may be, or you can go guard and reserve. Guard and reserve are pretty much the same, except if you know, seen any Batman movies or whatever, it's like call the National Guard. So whenever something bad happens in the state, the National Guardsmen are the one that get called in to come handle business. But guards and reservists are basically like part-time, like you got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So the ability to, you sign up, you go away to school, all that good stuff, and then you can come home. And then you work your weekends, or you got a week of training, or you got to go to school for 5 weeks in Tennessee. But the problem is that if you continue having 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and you are, all right, I'm a full-time teacher, and I'm going to school, and I'm trying to have a family, and I play sports, and then I'm also in the military, and I got to go to school, and I got to go away, and I got to... So that's the one thing where it's difficult when you're basically living 2 separate lives at the same time, but that is the advantage to Guard and Reserve, where you don't get sent to the middle of North Dakota for the next 4 years. You can come back home and still be in the military. But I think there's a lot of confusion, and I think a lot of people don't know that. And each branch, you can be a reservist, but National Guard is Army and Air Force only. So something to keep in mind, but if somebody says Air National Guard, you're like, what is that? You know what I mean? It's the Air Force. It's just a part of the Air Force, so.
When you're National Guard, the governor is your commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
So any other questions?
What was your favorite memory?
Mine? That's a very good question. Well, my favorite memory, because like I said, I grew up military, was that campaign of El Dorado Canyon when we bombed Libya, you know, mission-wise. But I had quite a few good memories. I tried to make the best of every assignment that I was at, and even growing up, and what have you.
You'll see mine later.
He's got to say some stuff, guys.
Yeah.
You'll see.
I would say for me, it was probably just the great assignments that I had. I lived out in Colorado for 3 years, and then again, I lived in Germany for 5 years. So it was a great memory, being in the military.
The end of the war, I guess.
Yeah.
When was in the Philippines, and there must have been 1,000 ships anchored there, getting ready for the invasion of Japan. And when the war ended, you never saw such celebration in your life. 1,000 ships sending up rockets and everything.
Bob, do you have pictures? Do you have pictures from when you were deployed?
No.
No? That'd be something.
They were pretty, filming was pretty, everything was pretty hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
If you had film, you were lucky.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts being deployed?
Did he, I'm hard of hearing. Was he?
So, what did you think about a lot, Bob, when you were deployed, or when you were overseas?
Went over overseas,
What,
waiting for it to end so he could go home. There was nothing wonderful about it.
I'd have to say, when you deployed, and I think everybody will agree with me, you're working pretty much 12-hour days. That's all you're doing. I mean, you get a little bit of time off. It just depends on where you're at in terms of the mission and stuff like that. I know when I was deployed, I know for the Iraq War, you're getting ready for the war, and it's pretty much 12-hour days, and that's all you do. You work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. It makes time go by really incredibly fast, I'll tell you that. And you really don't have time to think about, you know, the monotony of it, because you're so focused on that mission, and you're just doing that every single day. And,
Plus taking into account the stress level or the intensity where you deployed. During Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I was stationed in Korea, and by the time I left Korea, the war was over, but the base I went to, Langley Air Force Base, they were one of the first deployed. It was the first tactical fighter wing, and I was in the 1st Security Police Squadron, and but we had a rotating TDY. TDY stands for temporary duty. So I remember my flight chief called me in and says, well, we have to send somebody from this flight over there. He's going to send a buddy of mine, but his wife was pregnant, so he said, oh, I don't want to send her. And he said, you know, you're going. And to be honest with you, I was disappointed because I missed the war, but this, you know, I said, well, sure, yeah, I'll go. And then my flight chief says, well, you know, it's not bad duty. It's like, no, you're not listening. I'll go. So I basically kind of half volunteered to go. I was pretty excited. I wanted to go over there and support the mission and, another chance to see another part of the world and be part of something. And then the next year, they had another one to a different base in Saudi Arabia, and I volunteered for that as well.
I mean, I just kind of was like, is this real life? And then once you realize this is the situation you're in and it's time to go, it's just like sports, just suit up. And my mentality was, if anybody gets in my way, I'm running them over, whatever that means, you know what I mean? But just, we're here to get a job done and don't get in my way otherwise, because the goal is to come back home in one piece and see everybody that I left behind, so.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Would you do it again? Over again?
Well, where hindsight's 20/20, yeah, I would probably, if I had a chance, I'd probably do it again. And then, just tweak a few things that I felt that needed tweaking to make it even more of a positive experience.
Yeah, I would definitely do it again, absolutely. In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's things like he said, you would go back and do a little different, but yeah, to see some of the guys I miss and see some of the funny stuff that happens, absolutely, I'd do it all over in a heartbeat.
Would you do it again? Would you do, if you had to do it all over again?
Yeah, actually, it was in 1943 that 4 of us from the 10th grade, 11th grade, I forget what it was, but we all went down to Boston, jumped in my 33 Chevy, went to Boston, and we signed up down there, and I can remember, like it was yesterday, we packed the car, and I was how long are we going to be? And I says, this meter is only good for so-so. And then a cop drives up, he says, what's up, boys? And he says, well, we're going in to join the Navy, but we don't know how long we're going to be. He says, don't worry about it, he puts the bag over the meter, and says, good luck.
How old were you about?
17.
17.
So you notice with this program and throughout our country now that veterans are being celebrated for the job that we've done. So, I mean, it's not all about the pomp and circumstances and all this stuff, but it's, kind of, makes you feel good about serving and people recognizing your service.
Go ahead, Vanessa.
Okay, what were some pros and cons of joining the
Tony
military?
Wake up and Deputy Frederick, and another guy by the name of Scott.
Pros and cons, I mean, again, it's the key to unlock doors that you would never otherwise unlock. Cons, I mean, there's the old saying, hurry up and wait. I can't tell you how much time I've lost in this lifetime standing in a line or waiting to get a signature or something crazy. So that's the one thing that'll drive you nuts, because especially when you're in high gear mode and you're getting things done and you know what I mean, and then it's just like, all right, pump the brakes and stop. But, other than that, yeah, definitely, like I said, it opens doors that would never open otherwise.
Well, for me, the pros were, being interested in a particular career field, being able to pick it, the military basically sponsoring you, because, you don't have to pay to go into the military, they pay you. Some of the cons are, like it's been mentioned, time away from family, the risk level, but, we all assume that once, it's the military. One thing in the middle, I'm not sure if it's a pro or a con, but there comes a time when you realize this isn't a TV show or a movie, this is the real deal, and what have you. And plus, you feel like, you feel that community of, like, you'll feel it more overseas, because, the military bases overseas is like a little America, and what have you, but you're able to, go and explore a different culture, depending on where you're at, and that's one of the things I took away from it, growing up in the military, because my dad was stationed in Germany for 3.5 years, and one summer we just toured Europe with all different countries, and then I went in and I had my own experiences at different places, so.
I think the level of responsibility you're going to get, whether you're a second lieutenant or an airman, right out of basic training, especially in the Air Force, we expect a lot from our airmen, and that level of responsibility you're going to get, either right out of high school or right out of college, you're going to learn pretty quick that, the military expects a lot out of you, and you learn that real quick.
Any other questions?
When you were away, what was your favorite food?
like that.
How about, what was our favorite MRE?
Yeah, jeez. Honestly, when I was deployed, I really couldn't eat the food. It just didn't agree with my body, so I pretty much lived off apples and cereal. Haven't really eaten apples or cereal since I've been home, but yeah, that was my food of choice.
Well, if you want to hear, this was kind of funny story for me when I was stationed up at Plattsburgh. My Air Force buddy, who I keep in touch with today, his wife was Korean, and there was another guy on my flight whose wife was Korean. So I got my introduction to Korean food. So then I put in for Korea. I go over to Korea, and when I got there, I was telling people, because there's a food called yakimandu. It's like an egg roll. And I told this one guy, I said, yeah, I was telling my friends that the minute I get to Korea, I want the coldest soda this side of Korea and yakimandu. And this guy says, is this your first time in country? I say, yeah. He goes, well, man, I'm surprised you have the courage to, eat that food. It's like, dude, I've already had it. People assume that you're new to the country, you're new to the culture, and I wasn't. But I like Korean food. And when I was over in Saudi Arabia, they had what they call shawarmas. You go downtown and they've got the meat on the thing and they cut it. It's basically like a wrap, would you say? And then, growing up, I was in Germany, the German food. So, I may not be able to tell because I've been on a diet, but I got my share of the foreign cuisine.
That's it, for me, it was the German food. I had to start running because of the German food. Wrecking havoc with my weight, but I had some really great food in Germany.
Mayonnaise on the pomfrets, huh?
Oh, yeah. Mayonnaise and french fries, you gotta try it. It's
Yeah.
really good. Bob, what was some of your favorite food when you were in the military? How was the food?
Oh, in the Navy, it's
Yeah.
always good.
Yeah.
It's good, and it's hot, and it's there. On time every day.
Has anybody ever had a MRE?
I know what it is.
Yeah, so it's the all-in-one meal that's in a bag, and over the years, going back to World War II, they called them the T-rats, right?
C-rations.
C-rations, and they were pretty horrendous back then. I must say, they've gotten a lot better over the years, to the point now where they actually have little chemical heaters inside them. You put water in the bag, two chemicals, it makes heat, and then you stick your little food in there, and it's, eating cold food. I mean, that was, when I first joined, the MREs, they didn't have heaters, and you get your food cold, or you'd stick it on, one of the tricks, you'd stick it on an engine block of a deuce and a half, and heat it up. I learned that from some old NCOs. But anyway, and a lot of that, if you guys didn't know, is done down in Natick. Natick is an Army, it's a small Army R&D facility. It's just
Testing.
Right. It's just down the road off 128, and they do a lot of the research in terms of new food and stuff like that, testing out the MREs. I think they do also some equipment testing down there too as well. So right in their own backyard, they're the forefront, the leading technology of these food that we eat in the field. So and I must say, it's come a long way, and they got some really good food. It's gotten better over the years.
Tuna noodles and the beef, barbecue beef.
Barbecue beef, definitely. I would be crazy about the tuna. Go for that. So it's a lot, and the funny thing is, it brings you back to school. It's back to lunchtime. My daughter's in high school. You're trading stuff at lunch and stuff like that. We do the same thing. It's, hey, what did you get in this MRE? And you're like, I like that. And you sit around and you're trading all bits and pieces of the MRE. It's kind of funny. Kind of like high school.
And when you're out in the field and you don't get chow relief, that's your chow right there.
Good question, Eliza. A lot of mileage on that one.
Food. It all comes down to the food.
That's
You're
it.
deployed. You don't have a whole lot to look forward to. So food does.
That is correct.
Still your question.
What do they say?
Good work.
If you can eat, eat. If you can sleep, sleep.
Well, when you're out on post, you don't want to sleep. I mean, it all depends, because when I was at Langley Air Force Base, we were out in the field doing an exercise, and we had two people per post. And the thing is, it's one up, one down. While you're getting some sleep, your other buddy's standing watch, and vice versa. But generally, like during normal day-to-day operations, if you're out there on post, you don't want to fall asleep.
Any other questions?
Well, you guys all have cards in front of you, right? Those are all your questions,
Oh,
right?
they're prepped. I think a lot of them got covered.
Okay.
I think with, like, a lot of the questions had to do with, like, how long you're away, what's it like being away. I think one we didn't ask was, like, family communication when you're away.
Oh, it's light years better now.
Oh yeah, these guys,
yeah.
I can't even imagine. I mean, like so when I was deployed, like I brought my phone. No, I didn't have any service. I was on airplane mode. But if you got lucky and were in a country or a spot where there was Wi-Fi, you could tap in real quick and send a text or use a WhatsApp or something like that. You know what I mean? But I mean, like these guys, it was letters and waiting
Yeah,
and
well-
waiting and waiting. So.
Well, it was letters, but also like when I was in the Philippines and England, over at the recreation center, they had like, you can call home, they had phones there. You go up to the desk, say, I want to place a call to the States and what have you, and it wasn't free, but it wasn't really expensive either. But, this was long before cell phones, internet, it was phone and letters, snail mail.
Yeah, one of the good things, again, and especially thanks to the comm guys, hats off to the comm guys, when we deploy, we have, internet is critical, especially for weather. I need access to data, or it's not a whole lot I can do. It's critical for everything that we do, not just weather. And the technology that the comm guys go in first, they're setting up the internet, and we have pretty reliable, robust, I mean, it may not be 100%, but it's very good, almost as good as we have here. And as a result, nowadays, you can do Skype calls back to your family and stuff like that. And again, the military understands the importance of morale. We are not effective soldiers, airmen, sailors, Marines if we're worrying about our family. If we can't talk to them, we're worried about what's going on back home. So they always make it a priority to make sure that our morale, and that's Skype calls, robust, reliable internet, emails, definitely. It's light years over the last 5-10 years.
Keep going, Colonel.
15.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
What was a good lesson you learned during your service?
I'm gonna let my fellow military people, because I didn't think about that one.
Bob's answer.
I do too.
Yeah, Bob, what was the lesson, the best lesson you learned from your time in the military during the war?
That's hard to say.
Well, I guess,
I think
excuse me.
the time I spent in the service was well worth it, because I learned a lot more in the service than I think in the same amount of time I would have in school. So even though I quit school to join the service, I don't think I lost anything. Learned a lot.
I guess for me, it's a philosophy that I developed that I carry to this day. Get in and get it done.
I think you definitely learned some things you didn't think you were capable of doing.
Yes.
And sometimes it's stressful, especially on the deployments. And sometimes you look back and say, wow, I didn't think I could do that. And you're challenged. I'll leave it at that. You're definitely challenged.
I think it honestly teaches you who you are as a person, because you're going to get pushed to your limits, your breaking points, and you're going to find out, are you going to break, or are you going to do it? You know what I mean? You're getting attacked. You see some people freak out and panic and do the exact thing you shouldn't do, and then you have people that do the right thing, and it's like, what kind of person are you? But you'll never find out until you're put in that position. And I think that's the one good thing, that I know what I'm capable of. I know I'm not afraid of certain things now because I've seen it or done it. And it's just, it's a benefit to have in life, because there's a lot in life that you're not going to know when it's coming until it happens. But again, being trained and prepared and ready, that's one of the biggest things you can do.
And that's pretty much with a lot of people, the motto is in the military, because I remember a major in my squadron, said the military is to prepare you for life, to go out there on your own. I mean, you're in a sense on your own, but you're also part of a team. So there's a little bit dependency, but like once you get out and you're on your own, you're it's there to prepare you. Just like college is. A lot of people think going to college is learning a particular major, but it also teaches you how to live away from home, how to budget your time, budget your money, and and so forth. So the military, it does encompass a lot of that preparedness for you.
Other questions you guys have?
Something I said?
We have a minute or two left, so if you have them, ask them now, and then they're gonna head downstairs.
What are your plans, like, when you're out of the military, like when you retire? What do you plan on?
I'm not retired. I'm out. I did 9 years. In order to retire, you need at least 20 years of service. So I got out after 9. My goals now, all the stuff I put off while I was in the military. So I'd like to finish school and be done with school. I'd like to start a family. I'm laid down the foundation for all this stuff. I've waited a long time, and now I'm ready to start the next chapter of my life. And it's just, I needed to close this chapter before I could open up the next one, but that's my personal experience.
Well, I've been out in December, it'll be 23 years, and when I got out, my goal was to, all right, what am I gonna do? Find out what I wanted to do and push forward and get on a progressive track to accomplishing goals. And in 23 years time, those goals change, and it's gonna happen. Your goals are gonna change because a lot of people, went in the military when I was in, and everybody's goal was to do 20 and retire, and those things change after time goes on.
I just retired after 25 years, but I have a full-time job working for a defense contractor. So I have a family, and so can't ask for anything more.
What did Bob do when he got out?
Bob, what do you want to do? What do you want to do after you retire?
I think he's doing it.
Bob's living the dream, right, Bob?
I've been retired now for 15 years. I'm 92, so, and seen a lot in those years. Yeah, in the Philippines. What part of the Philippines were you in?
I was at Clark Air Base,
Yeah.
Island Luzon.
We made your occupation of the Philippines, Lingayen Gulf, and Subic Bay, and
Subic Bay, yeah, I went to,
Leyte,
yeah, I visited Subic Bay.
Luzon.
Luzon, that's the island that the Clark Air Base is on, island of Luzon,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Bob, what did you do when you got back from World War II?
I was sold automobile parts.
Okay.
Did it until I retired, so, like, I'm mechanically inclined, so I kept right in that sort of business. I was an electrician in the Navy, but I didn't take it up when I got out.
Yeah.
I should have.
For real, for me too, my job that I got, if I wanted to have a job where I could probably be making 6 figures doing this job, I very well could. I just chose not to. I don't like hanging from telephone towers and going into sewers and all that good stuff, but there is, you know what I mean? So it's like I was a certified fiber optics installer for many years, and that could open a lot of doors, and I chose to go into teaching and education, but it's not bad to be able to, I'm an electrician, I'll go to work here. All right, now I want to do auto parts, I want to do, work for a defense contractor. It gives you a lot of options when you get out as well, which is huge. Everybody's fighting, just as a teacher. 250 people apply for one job at a time? You want to be a police officer, a firefighter, There's hundreds, if not thousands, but being a veteran puts you right at the top of the list, so.
Any other questions before we let these guys go? All right, well, thank you guys so much for being here in the room, being here today, for your service. We appreciate it.
Yep, it was our pleasure.
Yeah, grab a comment.